Hello, Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Chortle Cast. I am one of your hosts tonight, Jake, and with me, as always, the Stream King, the Far Cry Guy, the man who may cry devil, the Double Dog Dad, the Roguelite Lad, and the guy who just can't get that hawk out of his eye, Steven. What's up, buddy?
It would save so much more time if we just didn't do any of those names.
But would we have as much fun?
I would have more fun.
I don't think that's true, Stephen. I don't believe that at all. I don't believe it for a second. And
Okay.
We're also joined, making his triumphant return,
But yeah, it's been a while.
the sickest dude in video games.
I never even thought about it.
The god of headshots and loot. His name's Jeremy, but we call him Big Germ. What's up, buddy?
How's it going?
It's good. We've missed you.
Yeah, it's been a little bit.
It's
Vortex, he has 2 dogs. So
Yeah, it's not me fathering a cat dog situation, but it's 2 dogs. It's not like one dog that has 2 heads. It is 2 separate dogs.
He is the father of 2 dogs.
I am.
Is what that is intended to imply.
I'm a triple dog dad.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't one of those? Wow, that was almost another moment. I was gonna say, isn't one of those adopted though? But like, I guess all of them.
God.
All 3 of them are, yeah.
Like, first off, technically, all 3 of them are adopted. So yes, that's an invalid point. Then secondly, it's like just because you adopted them does not mean that you're any less their father. So there you go. Mike's jumping in the chat over there saying he's the 4-dog dad. So what's up, Vortex? What's up, Kalen? What's up, Mike? What's up, Akib? I am a real dad, and you're watching Chortlecast. This is the official podcast of Chortle Games. This is the
Just because he has an actual human doesn't mean he's any more of a father than we are.
This is true. This is true. Everybody calm down. This is Chortlecast, the official podcast of Chortle Games, where we talk about video games, TV shows, movies, anime, whatever the heck we want to talk about. And we've got a Steven-packed show for you tonight. We are going to be talking all about Spiderman coming to Avengers. We got there was a war table today. We're going to talk about that. And then Steven has been playing with the Oculus Quest. So we're going to hear his thoughts on
fun till today.
On that. It was all fun and games until we tried to stream it. And then we're also going to talk about Hawkeye, episode 1 and 2. Non-spoilers, because I haven't seen episode 2 yet. I did watch episode 1, though, and it was a great time. So, anyway, lots to discuss. But before we do any of that, I am so appreciative that there are so many of you in the chat right now, because there's something we've been missing, everybody. And that is, we did
I don't know if they're ready for it, Jake.
I don't know if they're ready either. We did a 24-hour live stream in early November, the 1st of November, almost a month ago, actually, from this week. And we raised just barely over $1,000. And Steven, you stopped the stream for some reason. Okay, there he is. Just over $1,000.
Opening up what we're about to watch.
Okay, I understand. We did the 24-hour live stream, and throughout the live stream, we had several goals. One of the big goals was every $500, we watched an episode of this cringy show that Steven and I made when we were both in college, our first and second years of college. So we watched one episode in the actual live stream, but we reached 1,000 post live stream, and so we've said for a while now that we were going to honor that. We were going to watch part 2, but we weren't going to do it without Jeremy. Big Germ's back. He's here. So it's time. So Steven, Jeremy, I know y'all are playing. By the way, if you're watching on YouTube, Steven and Jeremy are playing Gunfire Reborn on the PC. That's your visual entertainment other than my face tonight. If you're an audio listener, you're not hearing any of that, so I apologize.
Jeremy, I'm going to send you the link to episode 2 if you don't have it.
Steven and Jeremy are getting the links together. Kalen, we'll probably talk about Tom Holland being in more movies.
Send it directly to me, not in the
yeah, I did.
Group
I
chat.
clean every now and then, so that counts, right? What are you talking about? $400 a Vortex? I don't know you money. I don't know you money. You know what I mean?
And Kalen, to reference your comment, it was that episode of Hawkeye, that was a reference to the comic, and that's probably the only reason that happened, just to get that out of the way. But we can't talk about that because that's technically a spoiler. So
technically a spoiler. I'm glad I don't remember a lot of the names because the only name I remember is Gary. And I think I'm just going to, anytime someone says, who told you to be over here? I'm Gary. Go take it up with Gary. All right. Okay. If we're ready, ladies and gentlemen.
right.
Steven.
Who's counting it?
Steven, I will. I don't trust you Yahoos to do this right. So ladies and gentlemen, I present to you The Mask, episode 2. I'm going to give it full volume. So if it's just horrible in the chat, I need quick responses from everyone.
Tell us when to start it.
All right, here we go. We're starting in 3, 2, 1, click. By the way, this is totally going to get demonetized. Not that we're monetized, but this is going to get demonetized. Fun fact, behind the scenes commentary here, I pretty much used the entire soundtrack from Dark Knight and Batman Begins, and basically any Batman movie, I used their soundtrack. That's what I did.
Yeah,
So,
I'd love the fact that we took the route that we took, because in the architecture of the church, I'm headed literally nowhere. I end up in the middle of the building when we were on like the far side of the building, and I don't know why we did that.
The rumors are true. The mask really is still watching over the church. Excellent. That will make this all the more challenging.
Yeah,
Don't
I got
say
hell
much,
arrows
do you,
all the
Trick
time.
Shot? It suits me to have a companion such as yourself.
I hate this.
You know, it's a pity that old Checkers, huh? He had such potential. And his plot
This
would take
isn't
over the minds of
Checkers.
The whole world.
This is
wasn't a bad
a new
idea.
No,
villain.
he's talking about Checkers though.
If not for that mask,
Checkers tried
might have
first.
succeeded with his plan. Only
It's clockwork.
to be fooled
Get it right,
by
come on.
me, however. Checkers
Also, why are we
was
hiding his face? Because I think we just kind of show it in one shot.
Can we all
He
just
had
acknowledge that the
everything
music just
right
completely
for him
restarted
to
right there?
spot.
It did.
He just gave the mask enough time to foil him. His biggest mistake was his lack of knowledge of all the power that is hidden at Ridgecrest. And that, however, is how Checkers and I differ. I've waited just the right amount of time to enact my plan. And the mask, time running out.
This makes no sense.
Status report.
Oh my god, I hate it.
I found out more about who hired Trickshot. His name is Clockwork. I'm pulling up his case file right now.
I don't know if I mentioned it last time, but
His real name is Roger Dubious.
What a
He was once a
great
scientist
picture
who was
of
on the brink
Clockwork.
creating a time machine.
We had an entire
However,
photo
his
session.
funding
Don't
was
you
shut
remember
down
that?
I
and his
know.
research destroyed after
It was in your
scientists
office.
discovered the effects of using
That
a
was
time machine.
that's a pretty good photo
Roger's
compared to everything
disappeared
else.
Oh,
Yeah, he really got to
I also
mug for his
figured out what they're
mugshot.
up to. They're looking for a strange artifact known as the Cornerstone. It's mentioned in his reports. Roger said that this artifact could be used.
I wasn't.
Hang on, I gotta pause. Can everybody pause?
Paused. At
Okay.
2:44 is when I
Okay.
paused.
2:45 is when I paused. Did I name him Roger?
Roger Dubious, yes.
Roger Dubious?
Yes.
Why
Yeah,
did
that
I
is his
think that was a good idea? I play Pixel, by the way. Everybody, I play this character. This is my horrible voice.
name. Hold on. Who, Akib, did you really not?
Roger
It's very clearly Jake.
that this is the thing that he has to do.
My favorite part was when, I don't know what happened to your audio recording, but you were like, I have more information on who hired Trickshot.
I don't
you had to
know
dub
why.
over it.
What did I dub over? Okay, here we go. Let's play it again. 3, 2, 1.
He might know something about the artifact. You might want to go talk to him.
All right then, I'm off to see Oakley.
I love the hand
Pixel,
movements.
let me know if you find anything else out.
Oh God, Oakley.
Okay, Max, I'll let you know if I find anything else out.
I think Oakley's in the next episode.
Can we talk about So this is a new cape that I got for this episode, and it is huge.
I was told at this part to really just underperform and just kind of stand there. So I just kind of stand there.
What just happened?
Where'd it go? We never really explain it. It's implied that it's Roger.
Show yourself.
He's like helping you with time. He's like freezing
Yes,
time.
I believe that's what we were going for.
Stubborn. He just won't give up. Oh, how we could tour with him, Trickshot. How did this hero ever defeat Checkers and his army of minions? But you're right, Trickshot. We can't get too cocky. No plan is perfect. We must find the artifact. It's the last piece I need to make
Steven,
my device reach
with
its
his
full
gun.
potential. Then I can fulfill my destiny.
Annoyed.
Back time.
Or were they literally just like stand there,
Trickshot,
hold the gun to your
continue
forehead?
Search
You're
for the
good.
artifact. I've got to play date.
No one gave me any notes. I
was
had
about
to
to say-
figure out how to emote with just my gun
I
and
was gonna say,
sunglasses.
I don't remember giving him that much
Hey, stop right
instruction.
there.
No one gave me any notes. I really got to
Alright, hell
create
yeah.
the character of
Mask,
Trickshot.
just as
You
I
know?
expected you to be too valiant and stubborn to see that you're no match for me.
I'm no match for anyone, but with God, anything is possible.
I
Oh
can't.
yes, I've heard a little that it holds true that anything is possible.
I know all about your experiments.
You
with
looked
time
at the
machine
camera.
clockwork, and whatever you're up to here, I'm not gonna let you get away with this.
Spike in the lens.
I'm impressed you know my name. Flattered, really. But however, I'm bored of you, Mask. I've got my own matters to
Did you write Roger's dialogue?
Probably.
You really made him the most pretentious douchebag you possibly could have
TikTok.
made.
TikTok.
TikTok. So we're supposed to be going, like, he's supposed to be going full speed or faster, and you're supposed to be going slower, but we did a really bad job of that coming through.
Can we also
don't
acknowledge
think
that I was
really
wearing
translated.
chacos? I'm in like a full get up with chacos.
Yeah. And those are Chick-fil-A boots that Clockwork is wearing, I can tell.
Stubborn thing. Well, it's been fun,
Oh,
man.
there are people working in the sanctuary! Why don't they stop him?
Is this the one with the dinosaurs?
Clockwork.
There you go. There you have it.
Very, very abrupt.
Episode 2.
Oh my God.
For another $500, you can see what happened. The episode
man.
with dinosaurs is episode 4.
Yeah, episode 4, man. That's I wish we could have gotten to that one in the whole thing. But anyway, that will probably be continuing rewards here next year for extra life. Yeah. So it's not over yet. But there you go. That was that. For one shot without a cut, that slow-mo scene was terrible. It was horrible. But anyway,
And that was before one takes were all the rage. We just were stupid and decided to make it one take.
we started the trend before it was cool and didn't execute it well at all.
Sure.
But anyway, there you go. That was what your hard-earned money paid for. I hope you enjoyed it. Steve, Jeremy, what did you think? You were a little quiet the whole time. I think you were very enveloped in what was happening.
I was, and Krista walked in.
She was like, "What are you watching?"
Yeah, she was like, "Is that Jake?" And I was like, "Yes, that's Jake."
No, it's the mask.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The
Sorry, no,
mask.
that wasn't Jake, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Oh man, that was there was some gold.
That was good.
There's some gold in there, very much. Joe, thank you for chiming in just in time to say oof to all that. So anyway, all right, let's jump in without any further ado. Let's jump into the news. So we got a Spider-Man. It's been coming to Avengers. I think the Marvel's Avengers, the game. We've been talking about it. I feel like the last couple podcasts we've had just like a little snippet of new information. Last week on the podcast, Steven and I talked about the gameplay that IGN had gotten, but Crystal Dynamics did a full
War table
today about the character. I never got a chance to watch it. Steven, you got to watch the whole thing. What did you think? What were your thoughts? It sounded like they just kind of went into a little bit more detail about what we saw
So the funny thing about it is that when I said, "Hey, there's a war table happening,"
Hey, Steven, just keep
couldn't-
talking. I got to step away for just a second, but you
Okay.
keep going.
I could not find the war table because for whatever reason, they were live on Twitch doing the war table, I think. And then when the war table finished on Twitch, they posted the short version to other platforms. I never found it on YouTube. I saw it on Facebook. So I watched their Twitch stream first. But I had to wait till I got home because I don't have a Twitch account and I refused to make one. So I couldn't access it on my phone. But basically on Twitch, it looked like they were talking to the voice actor who plays Spider-Man, and he is the same guy who voices gosh, what's his name? The bird dude on Breath of the Wild. I've known his name, and I've forgotten it. So, Jeremy, what's that guy's name?
It starts with an R. That's all I can remember right now.
Some Rivali, is that it?
I think that's the
Rivaldi?
Rivali. Yeah, Rivali's Gale. That's his special.
Cool. Yeah, so that's the guy that voices Spider-Man in this, and he's a tough. Yuri Lowenthal's a tough act to follow, but I think this guy, just on sheer wholesomeness, is doing a pretty good job because just based on what I saw of his interview, he just really likes the character. I guess this is a loot goblin, by the way.
Yeah.
And it was just really nice hearing him talk about his process and everything. And I'm excited that he got to do this because it's a big deal. And he seems like a swell guy. And I think he's going to do a good job. But they also talked about the combat and everything. And I'm waiting for Jake to come back before I go into that because Jake is missing. And where did he say he was going?
I have no idea.
Do we need to just riff till Jake comes back?
Hey, do you guys want to hear a review that I sent?
Oh
EA
my god,
Games?
yeah. So yeah, let's go ahead and side.
Oh no, because I have to wait for Jake.
That's true. Start giving context. And we'll go into
So
we're gonna.
you guys that have been around for a long time know that Steven and I are very upset with EA since BioWare canceled Anthem. Well, since EA made them cancel, yeah. Well, that was just the final nail in the coffin kind of thing.
Right,
but
right.
They're just a shitty company and should not be around anymore. That's all they do is the same thing year after year, slightly making changes to the sports ball games. It's frustrating. Anyway, so I actually, when I started my PC earlier, I started the Xbox app, and we were going to play some Titanfall because EA has made it so it's available for free on Games Pass, but you have to use their platform. Like you have to download EA's kind of like gaming application. So Xbox would not load at all, and EA was showing that I didn't have any of the games installed. So hence why we're playing Gunfire Reborn instead of anything on EA, because we were going to play Titanfall earlier. But anyway, made the discovery that there was a large button that said submit a survey.
Like, didn't they offer you?
Yeah, they offered this.
They
offered the survey, and I was like, "Oh, this is a bad time." I was like, "You know what? No, this is a perfect time for EA to get a survey for me." So I wrote about a 4-paragraph survey, and didn't really hold back with anything.
Yeah, we spent.
I'm probably just gonna get kicked off of EA and not be allowed back on the.
Yeah, they might try to cancel him back for bullying, and they may have a case for it.
Yeah, they do.
But yeah, we spent while we were waiting for Jake around 8:20, 8:30, sometime around there, Jeremy was writing this review, and he put all of his frustrations at at the Game Pass app not working, at EA not working. Really, just probably any aggravation you felt over the past 10 years probably went.
Yeah, it was a plethora of things that I was just kind of like, you know what, these I need to feel heard today.
So since Jake is missing in action, you can go ahead and read it if you'd like.
No, I want to get his raw reaction as well. So as much as I want to, you guys are gonna have to wait just a few minutes.
So how's everybody doing tonight? Surrounded by time.
Yeah.
I would love to hear from you all.
All right, I'm back,
Steven.
Steven.
The mask. There he is. Thank God. Okay.
Sorry.
So Jeremy went ahead and told context for his review. So we sidestepped Avengers just real quick.
Okay.
And he is ready to go, ready to
Briefly.
read the review. Very briefly sidestepped it.
I'm ready.
All right. So I'm gonna stand in the corner. I think you can
I will defend you.
defend me.
Yep.
All right. So starting from the top. This, by far, is probably one of the worst examples of any gaming platform that I have ever had the absolute displeasure in being forced to use. It would be more fun to throw a potato at a brick wall, hoping it multiplies into more potatoes.
I really appreciate the violin music. I'm just gonna. I didn't hear that coming.
In-game parties are atrocious, especially with the lack of any convenience buttons such as a simple join button. And yes, that is 100% true. There is no button in the EA application that you can just join one of your friends playing a game. You have to be invited. Anyway, side tangent. So it continues to say, I'm not sure which underdeveloped mammal you put in charge of this beta, but I'm sure a fish could beat it in a spelling bee, and not a dolphin or a shark, but a goldfish or a bottom feeder like a flounder. The next paragraph begins. You're probably one of the worst companies in the entire industry and are constantly the butt of hilarious jokes at your expense. And unfortunately, that's not even an opinion. That is an absolute fact. You rarely change things with each iteration of game from year to year, and you bent over and fucked all of the fans of Anthem. But you guys get your money. If I was offered trillions of dollars to save your shareholders, I would sell everything I own and become a monk just to see you burn. This review contains no satire or exaggeration of my hatred towards the dumpster fire that is your company. I award you no points, and may the devil greet you as his equal. When inevitably, your company sinks into the depths of the river Styx. Signed, literally fucking everyone. But, good job putting a few games on Game Pass.
There you go. There you go. Wow.
Yeah, I was not happy earlier.
So the devil meet you as his equal.
Yeah.
Who
Is my favorite part.
Who did the musical additions?
That was
Okay,
That was
great.
Steven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that you
I
switched to
swapped
heavy
over-
metal. Yeah, at some point there.
I
That was
swapped
nice.
it over to the only thing they fear is you. But
Yeah.
we didn't get to hit the drop, unfortunately.
That's okay.
But
That's
yeah,
all right. Wow.
Yeah.
That's why the podcast was late.
What a beautiful piece of writing.
And that's submitted. Like
Yeah,
EA has that.
EA has that. Like it is somewhere in the database now. Somebody's gonna see that soon and be like, "Oh no, we fucked up."
You know, I no offense, Jeremy. I'm sure, but I'm sure nothing will come of it. But I really
Oh no,
hope.
I know
Absolutely
nothing's
not.
going to.
I-
I'm not worried about it at all.
I hope
Did
though.
it make me feel better? Fuck yeah.
I hope though that whoever does read it really enjoys it.
I hope to God that it makes its rounds around the office as like one of the funniest things this week.
That's
There's a
kind of what I'm
meme.
hoping for.
I will be happy.
There's a meme. I don't know what it's from. Probably like a College Humor video or something. But it's a dude who's dressed like a Nazi, and he like looks off to the side and he goes, "Are we the baddies?" And that's what I like to think the employee at EA is going to do when they read this. Like, oh shoot, are we the Empire?
Are we the bad guys? That's funny.
All of my hatred aside,
I love it.
let's continue the podcast.
So, Steven, how far did you get in the war table?
I was just talking about how we got to hear from the guy who voices Spider-Man, and I like him. I think he's a good fit.
Mm-hmm.
He has a wholesomeness to him. he was talking about one of the lines in the game where he in real life is a big fan of jazz, and Peter Parker in this is a big fan of jazz. And so one of the lines is that he like will say to somebody like, "How can you not like jazz? Like, you know, the music and everything. Like, you know, when the trumpet comes in, like, and like he just gets really into it and starts like mimicking the instruments." And it was just like, God, that's so Spider-Man. So I'm really excited to hear that line. For one, I'm very excited to hear all of his banter in the elevators. But after they talked to him, they talked about combat and basically, what all do you know about Spider-Man, Jake, so that I can?
I know what we saw. I say no. I don't even know what we really saw in the gameplay demo that IGN showed. I mean, I know what we know from that, but I feel like they at the war table went into a lot more detail about how that works. Like you mentioned, webbing up hands and his intrinsic ability and all that. You mentioned over text that sort of stuff's where
I'm pulling up my text messages just so I can have.
You had a great bullet list going for a little bit there.
So I'm just going to start from top to bottom. Spider-Man's intrinsic bar, when filled, allows him to perform a takedown on anyone, which will count for any takedown proc gear and for gear and skills. So basically, that means that if he goes for a certain amount of time in combat without taking any damage, his intrinsic will fill, and he can activate a takedown on anyone regardless of where their stun meter is at.
That is pretty cool.
And it's very Spider-Man too. I like that they did that because they said they really wanted to show some way to like to communicate his.
Back in a second.
Yeah, you're good. To kind of showcase his like slow mo with him, but it was kind of a challenge because you can't do slow mo because then you slow down everybody. And they said that really comes across in his takedowns. So him being a very takedown focused character makes a lot of sense. And I love that it activates takedown procs for gear and skills because you could totally run a Spider-Man build that is just centered around doing takedowns and dropping heroic orbs or healing orbs or whatever. So that's really cool. He's going to be super CC focused. Webbed is going to be a status effect that he brings to the table. No, Kalen, he does not have webbed wings on his default costume, but I'm pretty sure that he'll get one eventually because there's actually like
there's like 42
costumes.
There's like 42, aren't there?
Something like that. Yeah, there's a lot of costumes. There's 20 emotes, which feels like more than any other hero. Honestly, I know that's more than Hawkeye. But Hawkeye's the only hero that I've looked at in a very long time.
In depth.
Yeah. So the web status is going to be unique to him, but it's going to basically when a target is webbed, they are immobilized for a period of time. They didn't go into much detail. They probably did, but I probably missed that. But basically, it sounds like his. Like the definitive Spider-Man build in this, and of course you can veer off a little bit, like making a takedown focused Spider-Man, but the intended Spider-Man is to be just an absolute CC beast that stands for crowd control, to where you just web up everything and immobilize them for the team to do some damage.
Well, it's interesting too because we have Cryo, and Cryo slows enemies down, but this is going to immobilize full stop. That's cool.
Yes, but I imagine that there will be no webbed gear.
That's what I was just about to ask. There's no webbed gear, right?
Because it seems like this is unique to him specifically, and I think that it would really backfire on them if they made webbed a status that other characters can get, because that's just going to add more insult to Xbox.
I really just want a webbed Mjolnir, though, Steven.
You're not getting him web. That's the stupidest. Vortex says web wings. You mean his melted cheese armpits? Yes.
Do y'all remember that? God, I cannot remember. It was probably from the late 90s animated Spider-Man. Maybe it was Web of Shadows, where like Peter Parker, I forget if he went into the future or if he went to space, but he ended up in a planet where everyone was animals. Do either of you remember this?
This does not sound like anything that actually happened.
No, it did. It did. Anyway, he has a cape in that show that like a web cape that looks really. It looks like melted cheese.
I think you might be talking about Spider-Man Ultimate or Ultimate Spider-Man.
No,
it's like set in like a cyberpunk future.
no. This is like you remember the '90s Spider-Man cartoons. This is like early 2000s.
Yeah, this was late '90s, early 2000s. It was its own show.
Spider-Man on planet where everyone is an animal. Sorry, continue with what Spider-Man is all about.
If you're just tuning in, we're talking about the just brief discussion about the war table for Spider-Man from the Avengers today. I hope he's talking about Spider-Ham Gulag. That'd be hilarious.
Spider-Man Unlimited 1999.
You.
Okay. Yeah, there you go. That's what it was.
He's like, no, it's not that. Yeah.
Well, I feel like there's been a lot of unlimited.
Bet you feel real dumb
Hang
right
on.
now.
Is it unlimited? Okay, yeah. See, I thought you said ultimate. That's where I was confused.
I did.
There you go.
But I meant unlimited.
Unlimited, yeah. Spider-Man Unlimited.
So back to Spider-Man. You will have to reload his web shooters.
So how does that work?
I assume it's going to work similar to how like Black Widow reloads her guns, to where you shoot and then he has to do an animation where he reloads the cartridge. Which I like that. I think that's a cool addition rather than just making it passively come back. So regarding web swinging, it sounds like there's going to be a lot of freedom in web swinging, more so than you would expect.
What do you mean?
For example, well, there's going to be more to it than just like the PS1 Spider-Man games or PS2 Spider-Man games or whatever, where you're just kind of holding down the button and you're just swinging with the same animation forward, you know? There's going to be more interactions, like something I wrote down. You can launch with X from a swing to go further. So like you can jump out of a swing with X to launch yourself.
Kind of like in the Insomniac games.
Yes. You will have an air dodge. It sounds like he's actually going to be very mobile in the air. Something that they said that people did not seem okay with, but I understand where they're coming from, just for the sake of not giving Spider-Man literally every traversal option. But he will not have a double jump or a super jump.
Okay, all right.
But of course, he will have all of the wall interactions, so he'll be able to wall run infinitely, crawl on walls, all that jazz. Oh, sorry, Akib. My bad.
Can't forget about the second animation.
Spider sense, and this is something I just kind of picked up when watching. So you know how in Avengers right now, when someone comes up to attack you, they flash a color based on what kind of attack it is.
Yes.
So when playing Spider-Man, he gets a spider sense indicator over his head. So rather than having to watch the enemies, you might just be able to watch Spider-Man, and I really like that.
Okay.
Because that makes a lot of sense. That's a really good way to visualize spider sense.
I have not been very good with the parries in.
I'm terrible at it. I just dodge everything.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
So there's that. Okay, that's all I wrote down. But I do know that they talked about the Discordant Sound Raid, which I actually am looking forward to trying.
Right.
But I'm expecting it to
Steven is notorious for hating raids, so we'll see how well this goes.
And you cannot prove me otherwise. They're just an excuse to lock you into. So hold on. Vortex, you wanted the drop. You're getting the drop.
Oh no, here we go. I mean, you might as well. This episode has been so hardly demonetized already.
All raids are terrible. They are just an excuse to keep players in the game for a long period of time. They use time limits as just artificial difficulty, and it's not fun. It's never fun. And it's like, oh, hey, this game that you've been learning how to play for all this time? Well, the raid is going to be all about you not playing the game the way you've been trained to play it this whole time. Get to the drop song. Jeez. And let's just introduce all these new mechanics to where it's not fun anymore. And it's like, oh, you took longer than 30 seconds to kill the boss because you're not running a DPS build? Well, guess what? You suck at the game. I award you no points. You lose.
Wow. I hope.
Yeah, this one looks like it could be fun.
I hope it's fun. I hope it's at least an okay raid for you. As I understand it, getting gear is going to be easier, not easier from the raid, but it's guaranteed that you'll get an exotic upon completion. There's like a whole exotic set for that, right?
I believe so. According to the war table, well, for one, they mentioned to wear challenges, like weekly challenges to get exotics. That is now weekly per hero, not per account.
Yeah,
so
that's nice. That's a huge update.
The power cap is being increased to 175. And it sounds like gear to get to that power level is going to be raid locked.
Yikes.
Yeah.
So we're going to be playing the raid whether we like it or not.
Well, raid locked and Omega threat. So like the stupid Omega, whatever it was called, that guy. Yeah. Apparently you can get the gear from him. But I'm hoping
that thing was rough.
Yes, and I hated that too. It was basically this game's version of a raid, but now we have an actual raid.
Right.
But I'm hoping that all that gear being raid locked will make it to where it's more of a forgiving raid, but I should know better than to hope for that. I know. But at the very least, the atmosphere of the raid looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to give it a fair chance, but I fully expect to be disappointed. So they also talked about how gear that is above 100 and purple or yellow rarity, I believe, those can be upgraded an infinite number of times. They are like so upgraded gear score wise.
So like the tier below exotic.
The tier below exotic and the tier below that. So purple and yellow.
Interesting. So technically,
I believe purple was included in that.
So
because I think they said rare and epic.
So could I potentially get to the power level, the new power cap, by just upgrading yellow gear?
Yeah.
So without doing the raid,
you require a gear piece of a higher level to do. It's kind of like infusion, I think. So it does require sacrificing a higher gear item to increase the gear score of an existing item.
That's new because it used to you could just upgrade,
right?
With materials,
right? Speaking of materials, they have consolidated materials, and I think this is very smart. They've consolidated materials to where there are way fewer now that you have to keep up with. But they also said in the blog post where they talked about that they may bring back the other components in the future if they need more components because they have like actual Marvel relevance, like Uru and that's the only one I remember off the top of my head. So it'll be a lot less complicated to upgrade stuff. That's nice.
That is nice.
There will be more costumes for heroes. I saw a couple Hawkeye costumes that I didn't recognize.
Ooh, okay.
There will be supply routes or something where you can like donate resources to get closer to getting a unique costume or other cosmetic rewards. And for each supply route or whatever they're called. And I'm remembering this off the top of my head because they talked about it a little bit in the war table, but I remember reading the article on this.
Right.
Basically, you work the supply line up to where you get the final reward, which is a unique skin. And this one's going to be the Wakandan stealth suit for Iron Man. And it looks pretty cool.
Okay. Yeah. I saw that.
So
it's got like a nice panther emblem.
Yeah, it looks like a Panther Iron Man suit.
Yeah, it's very cool.
So that sounds nice because you're not just working towards that unique cosmetic, you're working the supply line to get cosmetics for other characters as well. So it's going to be a lot easier to get cosmetics now.
Yeah.
So what else is
So is it going to be a random cosmetic every time, or is it like for the next month it's going to be Iron Man?
I don't know what the time frame is.
Yeah,
but it is going to be time frame based, I believe. But
I hope it's ideally it would be when they do a weekly reset. There would be a new costume, and I'm sure those would have to cycle at some point. Like I'm sure the Iron Panther, if you will.
I think we'll be lucky to get a monthly reset because you got to leave enough time for people to finish the supply chain. because this game has been wise in the past to not assume that its players are playing it way more than they are.
Yeah, that's true.
But can't remember the other stuff. That was basically it with the war table. They just talked a little bit about a lot. Spider-Man, they talked a lot about the story that's bringing him to this, even though my impression is that there are no missions.
Right.
But it sounds like there's a lot of story context.
Well, from what we learned from IGN, there's just audio logs. There's a cutscene to initially introduce him. There's audio logs. There's some
what was probably part of the cutscene. They showed Spider-Man hanging outside of the helicarrier window, and he went, "Can I come in now?" And it was like, that feels very self-aware.
That's pretty funny. It's like, where have you been this whole time, Spider-Man? I've been right here. I've knocked.
All of these changes. That would be really funny if like people data mined and like his feet were like dangling above the helicarrier window because he was just kind of sitting there waiting. That'd be funny. But all in all, the game sounds like it's making a lot of really good changes to in-game specifically, which has been the unanimous criticism. And I mean, that's good because this game, I want more content from this team. They do good work, but they just really struggle with end game. So if they can lock down the end game, then that's great.
They have struggled so hard to just get a good start. And I feel like Black Panther was a pretty good launching point. But here again, and I think they're getting better here is what I'm trying to say. But like Black Panther happened, and then I think to their detriment, at least for us three on this call, then they said, hey, we're going to have an update soon where we're raising the power cap. Well, us three basically said, okay, cool, so we're not playing this game until that happens. Like we pretty much just said we are not touching this until then. So I feel like this is hopefully going to be kind of a second wind for this for this year's content with the game. But I hope as we get into 2022, they don't lose this momentum. I hope this momentum keeps rolling and we can have.
It feels like War for Wakanda was like a solid relaunch for the game.
Yes.
Like that's what the game should have launched as. And that this update that's coming with Spider-Man is a really solid first post-launch update. That's kind of the vibe that I'm getting.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of content here. I don't know how much of it is like new missions, but it's a lot of stuff that will keep people coming back.
There is no new missions associated with Spider-Man. I can tell you that now.
With Spider-Man, right.
There's the raid, but
which I'm excited to learn more about the raid because they've shown that they're kind of unconventional with a lot of the way they do things. And so I'm hoping that with the raid, they're more unconventional again. And that it's not the things that I said earlier, where it's just like, this is a raid. So the difficulty is just annoying bullcrap,
right? Which
is what all raids are. I'm hoping that it's more of just like expecting coordination, but not expecting perfection.
We'll see, because that Omega threat, once you got into the second, once you got into the boss, that was just the worst DPS check I have ever been a part of. It was so bad. Yeah, the only time I beat that was I was playing with Pugs, and I'm pretty sure all of us were Thors except for one Black Widow, who she literally just went into stealth and kept us alive. If somebody went down, she would turn invisible and get us back up, and that was pretty much the only way we won.
Something they did say during the war table, which has been very implied, and we've said it, said that we've hoped so, but they said that they put as much attention and basically they've worked to define Spider-Man as much as all the other Avengers. So basically, he is not a tacked-on character.
Right.
He is going to feel like a legitimate addition, and it just sucks that the contract with Sony is the way it is. But it's not their fault. So they're just making the best game that they can make, or they're trying to.
I was going to ask about that as well, because I know, Stephen, we've had some conversations on over text about how much they kind of corresponded with Insomniac and Sony's team? Did they talk at all about that? Of like,
No.
Sony's been really great.
One of the combat directors said that when designing his combat, they wanted to stay as true to the source material as possible, which is, I mean, to give them the benefit of the doubt. I believe them that they didn't just straight up rip assets from Insomniac, because he looks unique in a lot of what he does, but there's some takedowns that just look like we've seen him before.
Right.
But I mean, there have been so many Spider-Man games that you could argue that about pretty much any of them. Spider-Man just has a particular way of movement, and this feels faithful to that. And I mean, if your worst complaint is that it looks like they used assets from the greatest iteration of Spider-Man that we've ever gotten, I consider that a pretty good.
I was going to say, I don't consider that a bad thing at all. I just, for me, so somebody to bring some context into this for everyone else, there was a clip that I found on Twitter of somebody comparing shots from the IGN gameplay of Spider-Man to Insomniac Spider-Man, and a lot of it looked like it was one for one the same moves. But I did not take that as a negative thing at all. I really was like, oh, cool. So he looks and moves just like the Spider-Man in Insomniac.
So the reason I got defensive about that is because the Twitter thread, that was their impression was, oh, more stolen assets. And it's just like,
well, see, and I understand that's why you got heated. I again, just to say, I look at it as like, oh, cool, Sony worked with them on this. Like maybe they helped them out with this. But to wrap up this topic about Avengers, I have two questions. Number one, they're calling Spider-Man, he is a hero event, I think is what they're calling it. Right. Which again, as we've already said, it's we're getting Spider-Man, we're getting new outfits for him, but there's no new story content. Do we see them dropping any other heroes like this in the future?
If this goes well, yeah, I absolutely see them doing that, because like we were talking last week, it just means that they can focus more on developing the characters as they play, and not being like, okay, we really want to release She-Hulk. How the hell do we write a story about She-Hulk when the Kree are coming?
Right.
Yes.
And I'm glad you brought up She-Hulk. I think she would be an excellent one to do this with, just because we have Hulk. This is, and honestly, if I kind of wish they had done this with Kate, and I love Kate.
They did a Hawkeye story and then released her as an event.
Have her as an event post launch of Hawkeye, or do it alongside. It would have looked better. I think it would have, again, that would have gotten them off the ground moving a lot faster. And I think this is great for Spider-Man. We've got a new hero now. And with the raid coming, that'll be good as well. But I hope that obviously none of these are duplicate heroes. They're all different. Even Kate and Hawkeye are very different, but like, I mean,
if
quote unquote duplicate heroes
and Hawkeye have basically nothing in common, I don't think we're ever going to get a dupe.
Well, I'm sorry. Obviously, none of them are dupes. I just mean we have a Hulk. If we're getting a She-Hulk, let's just make her a hero event. Let's not waste time doing it. Not that I wouldn't love more story. I'm just saying maybe focus on an overarching story. Do a hero event for She-Hulk to just drop her in, and then but attach it to the ongoing story. Not let's break off and do a story about She-Hulk. Does that make sense?
Right.
So,
because I would much rather have Daredevil or Iron Fist dropped into the game now rather than them having to wait till it's an appropriate time to do a street level story.
Yeah. Completely
like something
agree.
like that.
Completely agree.
And I'm really hoping that this format with Spider-Man works, because it's a smart format. People have been saying, oh, they need to release heroes faster. Well, here's your chance.
This is a great way to do it.
It's a great way to do it, and it sucks that it happened the way it did with the exclusivity and everything. But it is what it is, and I'm just like, really, I have no sympathy for the people on Steam or on Xbox, because they've been crapping on the game ever since it launched, and the people that are complaining are the people that maybe played it for like maybe the campaign and then quit. So they're not even going to get back on, even if they were given Spider-Man. They just want to complain because it's a meme to complain about this game. When honestly, Crystal is doing a good job at what content they're releasing. It's just that they are really struggling with a release.
They've been struggling to get off the ground, but I think they're getting that momentum that they need, and that's going to be good. To completely wrap up this topic, we are going to be live streaming Marvel's Avengers tomorrow. We're going to be playing Spider-Man. I think, and this is a question, Steven and Jeremy, I think we're going to do like maybe a mission or two where we're all playing a Spider-Man just so that we can all get a feel for what he's like. And then I think we're going to split off and maybe do some other content.
So I'm probably going to cheat and have played Spider-Man a little bit.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine.
Just so that I can understand him. But yeah, I think it'd be fun to do like all of us as Spider-Man for a mission or two, and then kind of branch off and figure out what heroes we want to play as individually. Because Spider-Man sounds like he's targeting me a little bit because I love crowd control in that game, and he's going to dominate at it.
So here's my other question. I know we just talked about the raid, and we're excited to try the raid. Do we want to try the raid at all tomorrow? I know obviously
we've got to gear up to a certain point.
Gotcha. Okay. So it'll be more, we can do more raid prep. So, well, I mean, obviously Spider-Man would not be prepared. But I didn't know because I've got a 150 Thor, I've got a 150 Black Panther, I've got a 150 Iron.
Did you actually get Panther to 150?
Oh yeah. I got him up to 150 real quick. With all that we played back then. So I've got 3 at 150 that I could pull in. But I didn't know. So we've got to be a higher level than even 150 to start.
I say that, but I think it might be 150 for the raid because there's a harder version of the raid that I think is 160. So
okay,
maybe we can at 150. Vortex, that is very well put. That's kind of the vibe that I'm getting. Is that awesome? Spider-Man's coming, but everybody loves Spider-Man.
Everybody loves him.
But I think, honestly, just to, and I don't know if they control how this release worked out, but I would bet that Crystal held back Spider-Man for a release when they had a lot of content for everyone, just so that Xbox players wouldn't feel like they got screwed over.
Yes.
And that's commendable.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Well, and it's funny. I've seen a lot of people, their complaints about like the exclusivity directed at Crystal Dynamics, and it's just like, what did they have to do with it? Yeah. And maybe I'm naive, maybe I'm the one that's crazy, but I just 100% see that as a Sony thing.
Oh, like, absolutely was. Sony
owns Spider-Man in pretty much every facet, as I understand it. So it was their call one way or the other. So it's not their fault that it's exclusive. But my other question about the raid, do we all know who we're going to play? Well, we'll just see. We'll see how it goes tomorrow and do the live stream there. So
yeah, but yeah, I'm pulling for Crystal Dynamics. I think they have made really good content where they have made it. They just are playing a game that they like. They're playing in a sport that they were not properly prepared for when they got called up to bat.
Yeah,
and they're learning.
Yeah. Brody, I'm glad.
I'm here for it.
I'm glad you finally downloaded Avengers.
I'm excited to play, Brody.
I'm so excited to play it with you. I do not envy you having to play through the campaign.
The campaign's great.
It's great, but it took me. What I hated about the campaign is they don't give you Thor.
It was on the
They don't give you Thor immediately, and that for me.
Well, no, that's not true. Second to last.
Yeah, he's second to last behind Cap. So the 2 characters that I knew from the get go I wanted to play, and in doing initiative, knew I liked and really enjoyed playing was Thor and Captain America. You don't get either of them until the end of the campaign.
But
it's
the
just
campaign
like
is
the story is great. It's a wonderful Kamala story, but it just I felt like it was so it just drug on for me personally because I wanted to play as Thor. So anyway,
there's a lot of Kamala, but she's one of the most fun characters to play.
Oh my gosh, yes, she's great. She's great. Play her. Go
after
crazy.
I geared up Iron Man, Kamala became my main until Clint came out. Until Kate came out.
I also just want to say, while we're just talking about Avengers, I was thinking about this today. Thor and Iron Man, and now kind of Spider-Man, are the only flying characters. Is that correct?
Yeah.
That's crazy. I really hope the next character is a flying character.
See, that's the thing.
Me personally, I would love Captain Marvel to come next, but I'm hoping also that it might be Doctor Strange.
She's probably going to be an August drop. Because I'm kind of, if you're to take the pattern of War for Wakanda was the big expansion that came out as like a year 2 launch. Mm-hmm. That's probably what's going to happen with Captain Marvel. Instead of War for Wakanda, it's going to be like War against the Kree. Yeah, and I think when we get that Kree expansion, she'll drop.
Yep, that's my same thoughts.
And I would love to get Doctor Strange in the game, but I've got Hawkeye and he's great. But
at a certain point we're going to be. It's like, crap, who do I want to play today? It's like for me, I loved playing Thor, and then Black Panther came out, and it was like, crap, I really like playing Black Panther. And then it's like, well, I also always forget that I like Captain America. So there's a lot of good characters in there.
Yeah, and really, Crystal, if there was one thing, Jeremy, ready up whenever you're ready. If there's one thing that they could do better, there's something that they could do better is bringing heavier hitters more frequently. Black Panther, I would consider is a heavy hitter. Spider-Man is a heavy hitter, but like you were saying, we only have 2 flyers, and one of them can only fly because he's in a suit.
Right.
Thor is the only character right now that feels like a superhero in the traditional sense.
Yeah.
And while I love the other Marvel characters, I mean, Hawkeye, one of the reasons I love him so much as a character is because he is a regular guy amidst all these demigods, basically. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But at a certain point, they need to start dropping these demigods in the game because that's what people are here for. People want to be flying around as a 4-man squad of, like, basically make their own OG Defenders squad where you've got, I forgot Hulk's here. Hulk is also a superhero. But people want to be able to make like a OG Defenders level squad where you got like Namor, Hulk, Doctor Strange, and Silver Surfer walking around just going to town. And now you can't do that.
Can you imagine Silver Surfer in this game? Jeez.
No, I can't.
That would be, what a roller coaster that would be.
Yeah.
All right. We've probably spent enough time on this topic. We've got a couple more things to get to. Steven, do you want to talk about your Oculus experience so far?
I was enjoying my Oculus experience until today.
Yeah. So what? Oculus? It's a VR headset that's it's completely wireless. You can play games.
Independent VR.
You can play it natively in the headset, but it can also be connected to a computer and play like a Rift,
Can it? Because I've yet to see proof of that.
I'm sorry. It's supposed to be able to connect to a PC and play like a Rift. Oculus Rift, which is a pretty popular VR headset. But anyway, Steven got one this past week. Got it on Black Friday,
had a spending problem, and so I was like, I'll get a Quest.
So did you get it on Black Friday? Like, did you get a Black Friday deal or anything?
I knew what their Black Friday thing was, and it was basically like a $50
It's a $50 game credit, yeah.
Yeah, and so I was like, really the main reason I got it was for the purpose of working out.
Right.
Or at least just staying active, because I hate leaving the house. Mm-hmm. Like I enjoy leaving the house, but I have a really hard time making myself leave the house. Mm-hmm. So I figured, you know what? Why change myself for the better when I can just embrace who I am?
Steven, I'm just gonna put this out into the ether right now, so for it to circle back to us at some point. But we should do a show where we talk, not a show, but like a podcast episode where we talk about, and maybe even a ranking of like the best video game workouts, because you've done the Ring Fit, you've done Beat Saber, you're doing the Oculus thing now. Like I feel like you're 2 or 3 things away from being almost a video game workout expert. So
Well, I'll tell you right now that Beat Saber's been dethroned
Oh yeah.
by a little game called Pistol Whip.
Yep.
The way I've described it to everybody is it's like if Beat Saber and what was the other game that I used?
It was in my brain.
Beat Saber and Super Hot
Yes,
had a baby and they named it John Wick.
I was gonna say Red Hot, but that was not right.
Yeah,
I completely left my brain.
Or candy. Big Red's the gum. Red Hot's the candy.
There you go.
There we go. But it basically you're like in VR and you're constantly moving down a hallway while music is playing, and it's rhythm-based shooting. And you have to actually like dodge bullets as they come at you. It's basically, if you've seen Wanted: Weapons of Fate, I don't know if the movie's actually called Weapons of Fate. I think that's the game. If you've seen Wanted, the Curved Bullets movie, it's the scene when Wesley kicks open the door to the Assassin's Guild, like jumps through the window and just runs through the hallway and just kills everybody and picks up guns as he runs. It's that, if it was a game. And it's amazing. It's so fun.
Joe, hang on. I do want to bring in this comment from Joe. He says, iToy, next question. Now, I'm blanking a little bit here, but wasn't iToy the very first, like,
you're thinking Virtual
PlayStation
Boy.
Camera?
No. I thought you were going to say Nintendo's attempt at VR. That was
No. Yeah, that was Virtual Boy. I knew that. I maybe I'm misremembering the name, but I feel like iToy was one of the first or early iterations of like a PS camera. I feel like it was on the PS2 or the PS3, maybe. PlayStation 2 augmented reality. That's what it was. Yes. Okay, great. I'm just I'm making sure I'm on the same page as you, Joe, and I appreciate you bringing that up because I have not thought about that in a long time. You've just unlocked memories in my brain that I didn't know were there. So
why did we make this podcast the one where I talk so much?
I'm sorry. You did it to yourself. You did it to yourself. You brought up all the topics, and they were all things you wanted to talk about.
Sure.
But so talk. Let's get into it. You bought the Oculus. You've been playing it. What's your experience?
3 games that have been a standout, and these are all on the Oculus ecosystem. Pistol Whip, Zero Caliber, which is like a co-op first-person shooter. I love those.
Nice.
And Demio, which is basically VR Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes.
Where you everyone has a figure and you have the table and you can like move the table around to kind of get the perspective that you want. And whenever you move your figure or do actions, the figure becomes animated. So like if I'm using a spell as my wizard, like a zap spell, when I cast that, he stops being like a little statue and he'll like animate the zap spell. And it's all in VR and it's super cool.
That's awesome.
That's probably been.
How have you been playing that with other people or?
My brother Andrew
okay.
has an Oculus. He has a Quest as well.
Steven, are you gonna talk me into getting a Quest now? Is that what's about to happen?
I mean, if you're wanting to integrate with PC, don't do it because it's a mess right now, or at least in my experience, it's a mess.
Yeah.
But I'll get to that. But if you're wanting to play games that are on the Oculus ecosystem, I think it's pretty solid in terms of like where we were with VR. Like it's a completely different ball game from PlayStation VR. So it's just better.
How really?
Yeah, because it's tetherless, and that's really all it took for them to really take it to the next level. Because I love PlayStation VR.
Quality, like visual quality wise, is it worse or better?
It's worse, but
okay.
That's because the PlayStation is running off of a PlayStation.
Is it like
this is essentially running off of a smartphone?
It's built into the headset, though.
Yes, but the graphics are fine.
Yeah, so but you pretty confidently said worse there. So like, is it?
Well, I mean, because PlayStation graphics are just significantly better.
Okay, all right.
Like I wouldn't consider the games ugly. Like Demio looks good for what it is.
Let me maybe create this comparison here. PlayStation games and Nintendo Switch games. Obviously, PlayStation games are of higher quality. Mm-hmm. However, when you're playing on the Nintendo Switch in handheld mode, you don't really notice, right, that Breath of the Wild maybe doesn't look as sharp as, say, Last of Us Part 2. Well, but you still enjoy. You know what I mean?
Yes,
you still think, wow, this looks great.
I would not consider the graphics bad. in terms of what I've played. How have I played anything to the visual quality of Blood and Truth? No. But that's okay.
Yeah.
Because while Blood and Truth is one of my favorite VR experiences that I've had, the fact that I can go tetherless with this thing and like sit on the couch and play Demio and like lay down, basically, that's great.
I love how Steven bought this for exercise, and one of his things he plays, he lays down. So
well, it's because I played for like an hour and a half and realized that I was arching my neck forward the entire time, and all the pain hit me at once, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is awful."
Yeah.
But then I laid down and then adjusted the table to where it was just like, "Okay, yeah, I'm good."
Yeah.
But I go hard on pistol whip. Let me tell you.
Oh, I'm sure. Caitlin brought up an interesting question. Are there AR games for this? Does this have any AR? I feel like it's more of a VR.
Not that I've seen yet, but I feel like it could incorporate augmented reality because there is the pass-through cam, which is where, because it's got the 4 cameras on the outside that I know of anyway, and you can double tap the side of it. You're going to need to talk for a while after I finish this sentence so that I can go get some water.
Okay, yeah.
But I'm sure that they could integrate augmented reality in some way, but I have yet to see that.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. I tell you what, I don't know if anyone remembers, Microsoft had, I forget what they called it. It's the Microsoft, it was some sort of HoloLens, that's what it was. It was like a helmet that had like a piece of glass in front of you, and it was supposed to be kind of like an augmented reality thing. Jeremy, do you remember those?
I do. It's kind of similar to the Google glasses, or the Google Lens, whatever they're making.
Yeah. Well, see, Google Glass was in like glasses, but this was like a VR headset that was clear glass.
Headset.
Yeah. Man, I wanted one of those so bad. I thought they were just the coolest thing. They are crazy expensive, and I think right now they're really only like available for like industries and stuff. But like, oh man, that's the future, in my opinion. I think that stuff is just super, super cool. I want that to exist. Vortex said Arthur Morgan has left the chat, so Steven has tuberculosis now. Thank you, not the gulag, for reminding me of tuberculosis. Steven, are you back? Have you recovered?
Give me a second to pop another cough drop in my mouth.
Give me a second to pop a cough drop. That's fine. Yeah, I would like a HoloLens, but okay, well, so Steven, the other, obviously, I think one of the selling points of the Quest is that you're supposed to be able to connect it to a PC, and then it would be able to operate similarly to a Rift, which is the high-end VR headset on the market, at least from Facebook.
Because basically at that point, your games are running off of your computer, not your headset, so you can get those high-quality graphics and play a lot of games that you otherwise could not play. Like, for example, my brother loved Half-Life 2 back in the day, and Half-Life Alyx is the closest thing to a Half-Life 3 that we're ever going to get.
Yes.
So he was like, as soon as I can, I'm absolutely doing Half-Life Alyx. That's on Steam.
Mm-hmm.
So he is able to integrate his Quest over to Steam to play Half-Life Alyx. That being said, here's your other headline. Getting my Quest 2 to connect with Steam is one of the worst experiences I've had in my life, and I once got my toe caught in a bicycle chain and it was severed in half.
Okay, wow, jeez, that's intense, Jared. I mean, Jeremy,
for headline, but
I think you need to write Steven a strongly worded review.
Basically, just it did not work properly, and I'm using AirLink, which is a new new integration. It's in beta. Yeah, Joe, I got my toe, my middle toe of all toes, caught in a bicycle chain. So when I was a kid.
Oh Lord, here we go.
So when I was a kid, we were playing this game called Bicycle Tag. It's a game that my brother came up with, where you just are on bikes and you run into each other, and whoever is still standing wins. Can you guess that he was the oldest and the largest among us?
Yeah,
because he was. So I, being the youngest of 3 boys, was like, yeah, sounds great. I'm cool. So I was they were about to go play without me, and I was real young at this point. They were about to go play without me, and they were like, "Oh, you better hurry. We're going to go without you." And I was like, "Oh man, as the youngest, that's the worst thing that can happen is that your brothers go without you." You know. Mm-hmm. So I put on flip flops.
Terrible choice of.
And so naturally, when the creator of the game has a well, this may sound harsh, but it's Big Brother complex.
Yeah,
you gotta look big, So he basically looked at me and was like, "I'm going for that one." So he comes up to me, just like tries to like knock me off my bike and succeeds, and my right foot goes up. He was hitting me from my right. My right foot goes up, and somehow my middle toe gets caught in his bicycle chain and just gets shredded.
Oh. How old did you say you were?
I was like maybe 7 years old.
Ooh.
So they leave me out there. Like I fall on the ground and they're like, you fell over. And then they see that I'm leaving a trail of blood and I'm literally crawling. Mm-hmm. So they run inside and leave me out there. And so yeah, I crawl inside and there was a guy like changing our water filter or something because we had one of those like water coolers. Uh-huh. And this poor guy, I will always remember the look on his face. He looked down the hallway to see this 7-year-old boy just push the door open to the garage, leaving behind a trail of blood, screaming. So they took me to the hospital and they sewed it back on. I still have the toe. It's not exactly right, but it's there.
God, for a second when you said I still have the toe, my brain was like, I keep it in a jar.
Yeah,
it's in a jar on top of the fridge.
Yeah. No, it's attached. They had to sew it back on. It feels weird. Like if I move it the wrong way, like I can. Well, like it's very sensitive on the right side.
Oh, I'm
so
sure.
That must have been where
I'm
like
sure.
it was stitched or something. It's a whole thing, So that happened. Connecting my Oculus Quest to Steam
was worse than that.
Was worse than that entire day.
So no, wait. So you're not hardwiring it. You're trying to do this wireless connection.
Correct.
Interesting. Okay, that fills me with a little bit more confidence because I just feel
I'm
like
going to try to do wired connection.
Yeah,
but the cable is apparently expensive.
and
again, this is in beta, so.
Yeah, I feel like the wireless connect to the PC system is probably just not. Maybe, like you said, it's in beta. Maybe in a while it'll be okay, but I just don't see that going well.
So I tried to connect it, and my firewall was blocking the connection. Fixed that, so it eventually saw it, and we were good. I tried launching a game called like Iron Legion or Iron Brigade or something. It's a Steam game that I had an alpha. There was a free alpha for. It's first person mechs in VR, which is my dream game, my dream VR game. The game eventually launched after much confusion, and it trying to get me to like make a house in VR because it was at the Steam homepage. I don't know. It was weird. So I got into the game. And each eye was full screen, so I had double vision, and I was like, "That's not right." So let's maybe try to fix that. So I restarted the game, and I closed the game. Everything crashed, and I could not get it to reconnect. Until like 30 minutes later when I just had tried everything and all of that repeated again to have the double vision and everything. I got into a server just because I was like, maybe if I get into the actual gameplay, it'll stop. Guy called me the N-word. Didn't even know I was in a multiplayer match, but I got called the N-word. And there was this guy like, in the words of my grandpa, this is my boomstick. And I left. I just quit. So that happened. And then everything hard crashed and I had to restart everything. My computer force restarted itself. And that's the last time I tried.
Wow, that is ridiculous. Kalen, I don't think Steven has played any horror games in VR. Did you play any horror games in VR, Steven, when we did Let's Plays? I don't think you did.
No, I did not.
Yeah. Steven watched me play a horror game, and I got scared by the perfectly normal human that was just there. That was the first thing I saw on the screen. And anyway.
Now, I did jump playing Demio, because when you go in the game, there's a voice talking to you.
Uh-huh.
And then this goth chick with no legs, who's like your host, appears to your right. And I was in a party with Andrew and our friend Zach.
Uh-huh.
And I just was like, ah! And they're like, what? And I was like, some goth chick.
God, Steven, you're making me want one of these. The problem that I have if I get this is that it's going to be a really hard sell for me to also get the PSVR 2 if that ever.
Then don't get the PSVR 2. What's the point? If you've got a VR system that is fulfilling the needs that you want out of a VR system, you don't need two.
Well, but there are PSVR exclusives, aren't there?
What name 3 PSVR exclusives that you wanted to play on PSVR 1?
Not Mist. What's it called? Shoot. Moss.
Not exclusive. It's on Oculus.
All right. Well, there you go. That sold it. Well, I honestly, I feel like more often than not, I hear about a game that's not on the PSVR that I want to play.
Yeah. Honestly,
Kalen brings up a great point. Blood and Truth.
Blood and Truth is the one. That's why I said 3. Blood and Truth is the one.
Yeah.
I love Blood and Truth, and you're gonna have those games where it's like, man, I really wish that I could play this, but I don't have PSVR. But you're gonna have just as many, if not more, of those games that do release on PSVR, but you're going to say, man, I wish I could play this tetherless.
Yeah. I'll think about it. I'll watch it around. I've been looking at that sale, or not sale, the deal where it's, get $50 credit or whatever.
And I love my PSVR. I do. Honestly, my most fond VR memories are swinging around zombie legs and arms that Jeremy and I found on Killing Floor. Great times.
That was fun.
That was so fun. I love PSVR. But what I value in a VR system, now I know this now, what I value is being tetherless. That really helps the experience for me.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think
what I probably should. Flynn, no, stop eating Christmas. I can't tell you how many times that when playing one of those PlayStation VR games, it was just like, man, I wish that I wasn't tethered.
Right, yeah. What I think I should do is wait until they finally announce the PSVR 2, and then I should make that decision. Which one am I getting? So anyway, all right, enough about that. Let's wrap up this show by talking about the first 2 episodes of Hawkeye out on Disney Plus. I've watched the first episode, have not had a chance to get to the second one. It is fresh off my noggin. Just watched it literally a few hours ago. Steven, I know you've seen both episodes. Jeremy, where are you? Have you seen any of the Hawkeye series?
I have not and probably will not.
Okay.
So I have no issue with you guys talking about it.
Well,
if there are spoiler content.
Here's what I'm going to say. I would like to keep this mostly spoiler free.
Well, here's the nice thing, and I'll say this now, acknowledging that you want to keep it spoiler free. There's not really a lot of spoiler talk within the first 2 episodes.
That's kind of what I was going to say. I would like to say we can be pretty open about the first episode because it really just kind of lays out the groundwork, and I don't really feel like there was any shock and surprise or anything like that. So, but
second episode, it feels a lot like that as well.
Okay, great. So
there's not a lot to really spoil.
To give you just the briefest of breaks, Steven, let me give you my top level thoughts. Again, having only watched episode 1. I thought this was incredibly fun. I really, really like Kate Bishop. And
she's perfect.
I think, absolutely. And I think Haley Atwell is
Seinfeld. Atwell is Peggy Carter.
My bad. Haley Steinfeld. I feel like she is the perfect actress to play her. She did a really, really good job. I really like how she's playing Kate. But thought the show was really fun. I liked the introduction of Kate, how kind of what her origin is. My one comment that I do have about that origin of the very beginning, it takes us back to 2012 which we all know is the infamous when the aliens came
Everything
down.
happened.
It's when everything started, right? That's Avengers 1, the T'Chari? That's not right.
Chitauri.
Chitauri. The
Chitauri.
The Chitauri?
Chitauri.
Chitauri.
CH.
The
Chia.
the Chia pets invaded
Yes, that
New
one.
York, and the Avengers first made their debut. So we're back in that timeline, and literally, like, everyone knows. If you've watched this podcast, you know me. I love a good cheesy line. I do. I love it. I'm all for it. I really like those. Thanos, don't turn around and fight the bad guys. That's crazy. I'm not crazy. I'm mad. Like, I love those kind of lines. They're horrible, but I love them. This show has a similarly horrible line where, again, we're in 2012. We know the aliens are coming. Okay, we know. We all know that that's where this is going. Kate Bishop's mom and dad are talking about something about the penthouse. I don't know exactly where it's going. I'm sure it'll be revealed later, but they're arguing about something, and she says, well, a solution's not just gonna fall out of the sky. And I was just like, okay, I get see what you're doing there. That was cheesy. I appreciate it.
Pause there real quick. How much have you watched Phineas and Ferb?
A lot.
So you know the running joke of the farmer and his wife, where like it'll just cut to them randomly, and she's like, "I can't believe you sold all of our stuff to start a pig farm, and you didn't even get a single pig. What do you think? Pigs are just going to fall out of the sky?" And it ties directly into what Phineas and Ferb or Perry and Doofenshmirtz are doing. As soon as she said that, I was like, "This is the most Phineas and Ferb thing I've ever heard in my entire life."
Well, so if it had just been that, I would have. I chuckled. I said, "Oh, the aliens are coming. I get it. I understand. Something's going to fall on their penthouse and destroy it. That's what's about to happen." But then, not even 30 seconds later, Kate was eavesdropping. Right, so her dad goes up to talk to her, and I don't remember exactly how they got into it, but he was like, "Why are you eavesdropping?" And she was like, "Because the solution's not going to fall out of the sky." And I was like, "No, Marvel, you get one. You can do it once. You can say that line once. You can't say it twice. Like, don't just bring it back up. It was fine to let it happen once." Anyway, that's my one comment on the origin of Kate Bishop. My other comment, the opening credits, where it was basically her training montage, was
done
awesome.
To the style of My Life as a Weapon. Yeah,
yes,
that was fantastic.
That was fantastic, and I hope more shows will take note and put their training montages in the credits and opening credits and stuff. And I'm sure a lot of people do it, but that one was just really well done. Anyway, I really, really liked it. I really, really enjoyed the first episode. I liked Kate. The action is really fun. I like that we're getting to see more of Hawkeye and just who his character is.
Yep.
The opening scene with him where he's watching Rogers the musical, which we can talk about that in a second, but it cuts to we're looking at Hawkeye watching it, and suddenly all the audio drains out, and we see that he's just hearing kind of like muffled sounds, and then come to find out he had turned off his hearing aids, which to my knowledge is the only time that's ever been brought up in the universe that he is.
It's introduced in this that he has hearing loss.
Yeah. So that's great. Oh,
what?
Yeah. I mean, obviously,
they reference it in episode 2, where Kate asks him, "So when did that happen?" And then it does like a quick montage of every time Hawkeye's gotten hurt, and then he just goes, "Hard to tell."
That's funny. I can't wait. Yeah. So anyway, I really enjoyed it. I cannot wait to see where the rest of the series goes. Steven, what are your thoughts?
So I was texting you and Brody live while watching episode 1.
I was really nervous because Hawkeye is one of your favorites, and your texts during the first episode were a little worrisome. I was like, crap, Marvel's done it again. This is just not going to work for Steven.
So in My Life as a Weapon, which is the direct influence of this iteration of Hawkeye, or I guess this story, it's all about Hawkeye and what he does when he's not on missions with the Avengers. And it's very grounded and gritty. It's got a nice humor to it, but it also is a lot about Hawkeye's mortality, like his place amongst a group of individuals that have a healing factor or wear a suit of armor. He's just a guy. And so it's a very human story that features a lot of great moments with Hawkeye where you see his cynicism collide with the fact that he is a good-natured person. Mm-hmm. And so things like with Pizza Dog,
right?
In the comic, he's going to a underground gambling ring so that he can buy off an apartment building from the Tracksuit Mafia, so that they'll stop gouging the prices of the residents. Mm-hmm. Pizza Dog is outside just kind of chilling, and Clint goes up to it. And he's like, "Hey, can I pet your dog?" And he's eating pizza while he asks, and he pets the dog, and he's like, and the dog eats pizza. He's like, "Oh, you like pizza?" So he has this moment with the dog, mm-hmm. and the whole thing goes south, and he's escaping, and they're shooting at him, and they're about to shoot at him, and he's like counting internally how many seconds he has, and then the pizza dog jumps up and bites the arm of the guy that's about to shoot him. And Clint turns and sees that, and then they kick Pizza Dog into the street, and he gets hit by a car. And so then it cuts to Clint.
And again, this is in the comic, My Life as a Weapon.
It's in the comic.
Yeah.
Yes. And so it cuts to Clint at the veterinary hospital, and he just puts Lucky on the bed, and he's like, "Fix this dog right now." Because he felt so guilty about it. Uh-huh. And they were even like, the surgeon even said, he was like, "Sir, we have to ask the question, are you doing this for him or are you doing this for you? Because you have to just consider the quality of life this dog will have." Uh-huh. It's just a really touching moment because Lucky is saved. Uh-huh. And this whole time, Clint's saying, "It's not my dog, it's not my dog," because he's trying to separate himself from the situation. Uh-huh. But Lucky, that's how he loses his eye. Mm-hmm. There's a funny moment where the surgeon, Clint asks him, he's like, "So what's his name?" And the surgeon says, "Well, his collar says Arrow." And then Clint just kind of looks off and goes, "We'll think of something else." But so Pizza Dog is a very, like, for me, I guess being a dog owner, it's a really important moment that shows him as a character mm-hmm. in that comic, but that was very restrained and given to Kate. Mm-hmm. Because she actually saves Lucky from traffic, and I'm not upset that I did not have to watch a dog get hit by traffic in live action. I'm not. I'm glad that she saved him.
You just wish it had been Hawkeye.
Yeah, because like it was a big character moment for him to save Lucky, and it just kind of seemed weird that it was given to her. And so my concern, and this is, I'm going off of my mindset watching it live. Right. My concern was, oh God, is this the Kate Bishop show? Mm-hmm. Because I've got no problem. I love Kate Bishop. Mm-hmm. Like she's one of those characters that I think the MCU especially has done a really good job of portraying, because you'll see in episode 2, she's kind of a goofball mm-hmm. and she messes up a lot. Right. But she's just got raw talent. Yeah. So she's very capable, but she's not Captain Marvel where she's perfect for no reason. Right. And I love that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I do like Kate, but she has the unfortunate fate of being opposite one of my favorite comic characters, which mm-hmm. is Clint Barton. Mm-hmm. So my worry was, are they just going to give this entire thing to her and Clint's just going to play second fiddle to her? Because that's just, again, them failing to utilize Jeremy Renner in that role. Oh, that is true, Kaylin. You got me there as well. And the aim controller. That's okay. Fair enough. Think of one more.
Fair enough. We need one more.
Yeah. He brought up Firewall Zero Hour, Jeremy. Good times.
Yeah.
But I will say that there are games that scratch that itch.
That got an update.
Did it?
I think so.
Oh.
We haven't played a lot of those games in a long time. I imagine the majority of them have an update now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I missed it. We may have to do that again because I've still got my VR. But anyway, so my worry
Get
was
the plug for it.
Yeah, that's what I need. Jeez.
It's free.
I keep forgetting that's even a thing.
PlayStation just sends it to you.
You need a serial number, Jeremy. And
you don't.
Every time I've tried to apply, it says, "What's the serial number on your PSVR?" Nope. And I
didn't write it.
Just if they ask for a serial number, just go to your cupboard, count how many boxes you have, and then just send them like 3. Like,
yeah, I doubt they actually check it.
Well, all right, I'll have to look into that again. But anyway, so Steven, you were worried about that. are you still
I was
worried
worried
about
it
it
would be
after
the
episode
Kate
2?
Bishop show. And after watching episode 2, and you guys were probably like confused because the last thing I said after watching episode 1 was I'm worried. And then after I finished episode 2, I was like, just finished episode 2. I love it.
So literally I have like, let's see, 1, 2, 3. Okay. So I have 3 very long messages from Steven basically explaining a lot of what he just explained. And then there's literally an hour passes with nothing. And then he says, okay, if you guys watch it, make sure to watch both episodes. Just started the second one and I'm all on board. And then he comes back and says, I love it. So he was all on board.
So episode 1, minimal Clint Barton.
Yes.
And that's what had me worried that it was going to just follow Kate the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And then episode 2, it divides that a lot more evenly.
Mm-hmm.
And we get some really, really good Clint moments.
Mm-hmm.
To where I would say the episode is more about him. Thankfully.
Okay, good.
But it made me realize something about Jeremy Renner's performance as Clint.
Mm-hmm.
And people say that he's flat, but that's the point.
Mm-hmm.
Because this version of Clint is a family man
Mm-hmm.
who has just been trying to get out of the game basically since day 2. So he has that Clint Barton cynicism,
Mm-hmm.
but it comes from a place of rather than just like, I've seen how bad the world can get, and more so like, this is keeping me from what is good about the world, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so he's just always in dad mode.
Mm-hmm.
Like the way he treats Kate is the way he treats his children, even though she's older than any of his children.
Mm-hmm.
But like it makes sense for this iteration of Hawkeye.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of just this vibe of him just being like the guy who fought Thanos,
Mm-hmm.
but he's having to deal with just thugs. Because they even like tie him up at one point. Like he gets tied up at one point, and I won't say who, and I won't say anything else, but he gets tied up at one point, and I mean, he planned for it, obviously. And they're just like, oh, we got you. We captured you. And he's just like, oh, yeah, you did. You got me. Oh, great job. And they're taking too long to get to the point. So he's like, hey, that guy up there, that's your manager, right? That's the guy. Can I please just talk to him? Can I talk to your manager? And they're just like, no, we caught you. And he's like, and then he just like pulls his hands up because they like didn't, like he just unloosed his binds, and they all pull their guns. And he's just like, come on. You're the shift manager. Can I talk to that guy? And like, it just does a really good job of portraying him just being like, I've seen this before. This is nothing compared to my peak.
Right.
And it's just, it's a Hawkeye that's, he's just done it all.
Yeah.
And that makes sense for the iteration that we have. And I love that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really excited to see the relationship build between him and Kate, because she's just assuming that from the moment they meet, that it was like destiny. Like she and Haley Steinfeld does a great job of like portraying this, but she's just like, oh my gosh, we met, it's fate. And everything that he does, she's just like drinking it in like a pupil. And so like they're just kind of walking down the street, and she's like, what are you looking for? He's just like, I'm just looking. She's like, oh, are you assessing threats? Are you always assessing threats? Is that how you do it? And he's just like, I'm just looking. So they're going to have a fun relationship. And I hope that we see a lot of that.
Yeah.
And I'm curious where these different storylines are going.
Mm-hmm.
Kingpin is rumored. That's basically like, I'm not saying like episode 2 doesn't reveal anything like that, but Kingpin is in that My Life as a Weapon run, so it would make sense if he showed up.
Is he attached to the jumpsuit mafia? Because I've thought that has been. I saw a clip where it's the clip and we've seen it in the trailer where they throw a Molotov into an apartment building, and Hawkeye breaks the window, catches it, and throws it back, which is just so awesome.
I love that part.
So Marvel or somebody posted that clip on Twitter, like a longer version of that clip, and we're just like, Hawkeye and Kate take on the tracksuit mafia, and I was like, hold up a minute, tracksuit mafia? Like, what is this a joke? Like,
So they are from My Life as a Weapon.
Right, uh-huh.
Like they are the kind of the thugs that Clint's having to deal with. They're called the Tracksuit Draculas in that. And like even down to them saying bro after a lot of sentences, that's straight from the comic.
I picked up on that from the panel you sent today. I was like, this must be all connected. So, okay.
So that's where I'm not very far in My Life as a Weapon yet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on maybe like issue 5. Kingpin has appeared, but he was not connected to them.
Gotcha. Okay.
But he does play a role in that comic, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And man, if we get Vincent D'Onofrio back as Kingpin in this show, that's going to be so good.
Oh, well, then,
that man.
Game over for Deadpool. I mean, or not game over, like game on for Deadpool then at that point. Daredevil. What did I just say?
Deadpool.
Yeah, Daredevil. Duh. Anyway.
Well, they referenced in episode 2, maybe. Yeah, it was episode 2. They referenced in episode 2, Avengers Tower, and Hawkeye says Tony sold that years ago. So the two theories right now are that is either the Baxter Building and the Fantastic Four are living there, or Kingpin bought it.
Interesting.
Or Osborn.
Yeah.
I think it'd make a lot of sense if Kingpin bought it.
Yeah.
That would be like if they get. I heard a podcast that I listened to. I heard them call him Vinny D, and someone responded with Vin Diesel.
Vinny D.
But, if they get Vinny D back to play Kingpin, that right there adds huge credibility to the Marvel TV because he was the best villain Marvel Television has ever had. And I think we need that right now. I think we need Marvel shows that aren't afraid to tell this kind of zeroed in story that's street level. Because Loki's claiming to do all these big things. We don't know if it matters or not. WandaVision's leading straight into Doctor Strange, which is great. But and then Captain Falcon and the Winter Soldier's trying to end racism.
Okay, so I have debated for a hot minute if I wanted to bring this up or not. And since you brought up the show, I'm going to bring it up. Can we talk about how Sam tries to go get a loan and gets denied, but Hawkeye gets free dinner? Like, I was so mad.
Well,
the discrimination was horrible. Anyway,
it's because they're all racist.
Yeah,
everyone in the world is racist.
Yeah.
Apparently, which I thought it was weird. How like more people recognize Hawkeye than I really thought that they would.
Yeah, I thought that was funny that kept happening.
Two people have been like, "Oh man, you're my favorite." It's like, no, he's not. Like he's my favorite Avenger, but no,
he can't be your favorite.
Yeah, yeah. That was probably just done so that they could kind of communicate that Hawkeye's heard that before, so that when Kate finally says it, he's just like, "Yeah, I've heard that before."
Yeah,
I don't know.
Well,
I love it though. I'm excited. This is the most excited I've been about Marvel Television.
I really hope
because they built intrigue so well.
Yeah.
And I am hoping, praying, whatever, that this does not succumb to the curse of Marvel Television, which is really strong first 2 or 3 episodes, and then it just completely craps the bed for the rest of the series.
How many? Do we know how many this is?
6, I want to say.
Okay, great. That so before the end of the year we should be done with it. That's awesome. Yeah, I hope for your sake, just because I know you have not really loved any of the Marvel TV. I hope this is.
Was good.
I hope
everything else was garbage.
Yeah, I hope this is the one for you. That's just like, wow. Okay, this is
the one to do it, but this is also the one to break me.
Right. Yeah. This is we are teetering on the edge here. It's going to be a real bad. It's gonna be a real bad time.
Oh yeah, Kaylin brings up another funny part where and you may have seen this because it's a clip that Marvel posts on Facebook.
I've seen it.
But they're like seeing all the heroes. Like someone's like, "Mommy, it's a superhero," and Clint looks around and they're talking about like those people that hang out on Times Square, that dress up as people. And there's a girl that's vaguely dressed up as like maybe she's Hawkeye, maybe
generic archer,
just generic bow girl.
Uh-huh.
And Kate's like, oh, hey, it's you, and he goes, no, it's Katniss Everdeen.
What an
really
acknowledgement! What a great interaction. That's awesome. Well, I can't wait to watch the rest of to get into episode 2, and then see what the rest of the season has. Episode 3 drops Wednesday, so very, very exciting stuff. Yeah, awesome. Well, that pretty much concludes our podcast for tonight. But we will be back with more content. The schedule this week is a little off. It's kind of all over the place. Coming back from
it's kind of backwards, honestly.
It's completely backwards. I mean, I think at this point we're not going to be streaming this weekend, but we're going to be streaming the next 2 days. So you're kind of getting just about as much time as you would, but it's just going to be a little bit mixed up. So we will be live streaming Avengers tomorrow night, probably around 8:30 start time. But we'll be doing, like we said, we'll show off Spider-Man. So we'll get to see what Spider-Man's all about. We might try and start the raid. If we can't start the raid, it's just going to be a lot of leveling up characters, and getting stuff raid prep, if you will. But it should be a lot of fun. And then Wednesday night, we are continuing our Sentinels of the Multiverse playthrough. So we will continue going through that. And then that's kind of, oh my gosh, jeez,
keep going.
Tuberculosis over there. But that's pretty much going to be it for this week's live streams. I think Steven, did you say you're going out of town, or are you just talking about?
I am going to California for my sister's 18th birthday. We got her. Basically, my dad was going to take her to California because she really wanted to see BTS live.
Gotcha.
And they're playing in Los Angeles. And so I told my dad, I was like, hey, you've got a lot of kids at the house. You need to help mom.
Yeah.
So why don't Anna and I take her?
Wow.
So we are taking her.
Steven just weaseled his way into getting to go to California and see a band. That's crazy.
I am not seeing BTS. I told them, I was like, because I even told Laura, because Laura, my sister, was saying like, I could pay for your ticket or whatever, and I was like, Laura, I could get a Switch OLED for the cost of these tickets, and I ended up getting a Switch OLED. Anna and Laura are going to the concert. I will just be hanging out at the hotel. But on Friday, we're going to Disneyland, so I will get to ride Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout, and I'm really excited about that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
But even more importantly, on Thursday, when we fly in, we are getting lunch with the alien himself, the Nigerian prince, Kalen. We're getting to meet him. He's going to drive up there and meet us.
Yes. Way.
Yes.
Fantastic. That is fantastic news. I'm jealous. So jealous right now. But give Kalen a hug and a high five from me. So
if I'm still sick, I will give him an elbow bump.
There you go. I love it. That was a great intro. Next time Kalen's on content for any reason, I will use that. The Nigerian prince.
The alien.
What did you say? The alien himself? Is that what you said?
The alien himself, the Nigerian prince.
Kalen. There you go. Okay. All right. All right. Awesome. That's awesome. Well, I am going to be gone this weekend because I am going to Friendsgivingmas, which is being hosted by the one and only Brody, who you all know.
That's why I won't be at that. I'm not sure if I've told Brody that yet. But
I was going to say, I didn't know either. I assumed when you were like, oh, yeah, we're going to be busy this weekend. I was like, oh, yeah, we're doing that. And then so that's going to be a whole nightmare. So not a nightmare. It's going to be a blast. It's just like, how are we going to do content while we're doing that? So anyway, I will be at that. Now, I am not promising this, but if enough people are up for it and cool with streaming it, we might do some Jackbox, a quick Jackbox stream. But I am not holding that. That will be if someone else brings it up and says we should stream this. I'll say, well, we could if you want. So anyway,
funny you say that. I've got my entire stream kit in my trunk.
It's so funny you mentioned that. I have everything we need to do that right now. What's up, Stashnino? I can't say that right. But you're tuning in right at the tail end, man. I'm so sorry. We're about to cut off here, but Anyway, that's been our podcast for tonight. Again, we'll be live streaming tomorrow, Wednesday, but then probably won't be much for the rest of the week's content. But we will see
And
how
actually,
that goes.
The following week, I'm going to be pretty busy as well. So there's no guarantee that you'll get me streams from me that weekend as well.
Now,
because that's the Christmas program.
You're going to be here for Game Awards, right?
That's the 9th, yes.
Yes.
I will be here for Game Awards.
Great. Okay.
And it's just that that Saturday and Sunday. So really Saturday and maybe Friday because of rehearsal.
I understand.
Those are the only ones I'll miss.
But that Thursday,
I'm yours.
nah, man, Stashino, you're good. No, not your bad. It's our bad.
I'll tell you what, Stashnino, if you want to be notified next time we're streaming, you can join our Discord link in the channel banner, and you'll know when we're live. From that, we would love to have you over there on the community.
And you can subscribe.
You can subscribe.
That would work.
We are beyond the threshold now where we're bouncing between 999 subs and 1K subs. The number moved up.
Now we're bouncing between 1K and 1.01K, which is a fun bounce. It's really great. So anyway, that is going to be it for tonight. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for streaming it.
Let me post the Discord link for him.
Okay, Steven is doing that. Thank you. I appreciate it. For a second, when I saw Kalen say link, I thought he meant to post it. Like maybe that was a quick, like
you put the word link instead of posting a link.
Well, like maybe he had a command, like that was supposed to be link ! Which would have been a command. Whatever. Anyway, so thank you guys for watching. We will see you tomorrow with some Marvel's Avengers. Again, probably around 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. We'll see you guys next time. Bye
Bye, guys.